Welcome back to the build series. Today we look at 12 volts battery voltage range. And speaking of voltage range, it can vary from one technology to another. So we look at two different technologies and perhaps consider the extent to which we can charge and discharge these batteries in regards to voltage. So what should be the peak voltage and the minimal discharge level? Because staying within the voltage range can ensure efficiency and longevity for our battery and entire inverter setup. So we look at two different technologies. We have lithium ion cells, Li-ion cells, and LiFePO4 cells. We can call them battery cells. Cells wired to make a battery, or perhaps individual cells, you refer to them as cells. And then when you have those cells wired to make a battery, maybe an 8-volt battery, a 12-volt battery, you have a battery. So that's basically the difference between the two, but we use it interchangeably. Sometimes we say cells when we really mean battery, or we say battery when we really mean cells. Doesn't really matter as much as we know what we're talking about. So these cells here, these ones with the 21700 form factor, they are LiFePO4 cells or batteries. These are lithium polymer cells, pouch cells or pouch-like cells, and they get their names from the pouch-like form factor, and it's wrapped in polymer, hence it's preferably referred to as the polymer cells, polymer pouch cells. We have them there. And these ones are 18650 cells. Because of their form factor, the size, it's often referred to as 18650 cells, and it's pretty common. This is the choice for DIY. You see a lot of DIYers making use of 18650 for the most part for their battery build. Now, for the lithium ion cells, you have to have 3S or 3 configurations. So you wire your cells like this. You have the positive of first cell hooked to the negative of the second one, and the positive of the second to the negative of the third. And this is how you have your 3S configuration, or perhaps your 3 series, and you have your 12.6 volts battery. So each of these cells is rated 4.2 volts. So the peak voltage is 4.2 volts and the nominal voltage is 3.7. The cutoff, or perhaps minimal discharge level, 2.9, 3.0. There's a site called Secondary Life Storage. Second Life Storage provides a large database for cells, and it helps you obtain details vis-a-vis a given cell. So if I have this cell and I don't know what rating it has, I can go to secondlifestorage.com and pull details regarding the cell. Each cell has an ID. But this particular one here doesn't have anything with which I can easily identify it. But if you look at the Samsung cells from known brands, from known manufacturers, will have cell IDs. So this one here announces itself as INR 18650-29E. So this is the ID for the cell. And if I go to Second Life Storage and perhaps I provide this ID, it returns details vis-a-vis current rating, voltage rating, the extent to which I can charge the cell, how much current I can pump into the cell, and at what voltage I should stop charging or discharging the cell. Basically, the peak and the cutoff voltage range for the cell. So for the 18650 cells wired in 3 series, you get 12.6 volts since you have a peak voltage of 4.2 on each of the cells. So if I have this wired as my 12 volts battery, discharging the entire battery pack to the minimal discharge level will give me 9 volts. And most BMSs do the nice job of keeping your battery within the voltage range, not going below the minimal discharge level or above the peak level when the battery is notched up. And that's pretty good. So what you want to do is ensure balancing across the cell packs. So when building my batteries, the first thing I do is I notch the cells up to the same voltage. So I want to have the same voltage across the cell packs. If I have 3.7 volt here, I want to have 3.7 volt here and here. Doing this ensures balancing, efficiency, and longevity. So once I have my BMS hooked to the battery, it maintains this balancing so that for an extended period, my battery packs will have the same voltage. So when discharging the cells or the individual packs, it discharges them equally, it gets to the cutoff voltage and it cuts the voltage, and you have 3 volts across the cell packs. So that gives you 9 volts. That's good. That's what you want. You want to have that balancing. And another way to ensure this really works, or the balancing really works, is to have the same capacity across the packs. So if I have my cells wired here to give me 100 ampere hours, let's say I make a 12 volt 100 ampere hour battery bank. I want to have 100 ampere hours in the first cell pack and 100 ampere hours in the second series and the third series. So that's it. And let's look at the second technology here, which has a slightly different architecture from lithium ion or Leon. This is LiFePO4. And the difference between these two technologies basically lies in their energy density, shelf life, and then ability to operate under certain extreme conditions or strenuous circumstances without perhaps losing stability. And that's where LiFePO4 really wins. It has a good shelf life, better shelf life than lithium ion cells, and it also has this ability to operate under strenuous conditions, under pressure, without losing stability compared to the lithium ion technology. And the reason lithium ion technology tends to be sometimes unstable when subjected to extreme pressure is because it has this high density or high energy density. It can hold a lot of energy compared to the lithium iron phosphates or LiFePO4 cells. So that's where it wins. If you perhaps want an application where you want to keep things relatively small and compact, you want to consider a cell or battery that fits into place and then it holds a lot of energy, which is why you see the application of lithium ion batteries in mobile devices. So for this ones, it has a nominal voltage of 3.2 and a peak voltage of 3.65. If I wire 3.65 in 3S or 3 configuration like this, I can get 12 volts. What I get is around 10.5, 10.6. So if I want to get 12 volts, I have to wire 4 cells in series. Wiring these 4 cells in series will give me 12.8 volts as my nominal voltage or battery nominal voltage. And if I notch it up to the peak level, it goes up to 14.5. That's the peak voltage for the battery. And then the nominal discharge level for each of these cells is 2.5. So if I can have some level of balancing across this entire battery pack, then I can get 10 volts, or I can safely discharge my battery to 10 volts, which is the minimal discharge level or the point at which I should stop discharging the battery. And then we can have BMSs in place. Hooking up a BMS to your battery can ensure that you don't become an asshole. So if you're trying to perhaps go below that minimal discharge level, the BMS just stops working. It stops discharging the battery once it hits that point. So on this one, you have 14.5 or perhaps 10.5 to 14.5 volts as the voltage range, and then the nominal voltage is 12.8. For the lithium ion cells or the Leon cells, you have peak voltage of 12.6 and then nominal voltage 11.1, and the minimal discharge level is 9 volts. And your BMS again will do the nice job of ensuring that you don't go below that minimal discharge level. And the same goes for the prismatic cells. So this is what it look like. And this single cell has a peak voltage of 4.2 volts. So if you wire 3 in series, you get your 12.6 volts. So the voltage range again, 12.6 volts to 9.0 volts, or 9.0 volts to 12.6 volts. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like this, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one, and bye for now.